Well, and the homes keep appreciating, right? Now,
Mhm.
our appreciation has slowed down a little bit this year, but I think for Dallas, it's always going to be a steady. We saw the big boom in over COVID, but we're coming back to normal, steady amounts. But you can count on maybe 3 to 5% every year. So as that goes up, it's killing any interest rate that you were waiting for. So I would say to the buyers that that's the best thing. Now, for sellers, good idea right now with the rates dropping to list your home because the buyers are coming
back.
out.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bryan Canasser here with the Mortgage Link, and I'm talking to Miss Terri Macaluso from Weichert Realtor Property Partners. Just to tell you a little bit about Miss Terri, she's a 20-year veteran of the real estate business. She was with Ebby Halliday for 12 years in a leadership role, and then moved to Coldwell Banker for 8 years. Also been a director on the Collin County Association of Realtors. She's also even currently the Texas Association of Realtors instructor for ethics. So you've been doing that for a little while, haven't you?
I've been doing that about 15 years.
So you have been doing that a little while.
Yeah.
So you know what you're talking about.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So then flash forward to 2024, you got the opportunity to open your own brokerage, and you planted that in the wonderful town of Salina. So what was your inspiration to move from the nursing field into real estate?
Oh gosh, it's kind of a funny story. I was teaching nursing school at IU, and my husband got transferred to Texas, to Dallas, and so we got here. There was not a huge presence for nursing schools back then. TWU had a school, but not any openings at the time. I was in the car with a realtor, and we were looking for a house to move to, and I had my 3 boys in the back seat. And we're going around, and I was kind of saying, gosh, I'm going to miss my job. And she said, well, why don't you just get your real estate license? You'd be good at that. And then when an opening comes up in nursing, you can go back to it. And I thought, well, heck, this looks like an easy job, right? She's driving a Mercedes and we're looking at nice houses. And so I thought, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
And so I did. I went and we moved, and I went and got my real estate license. And then I thought, what do I do now? I didn't know one person in Dallas.
So how did you start expanding your sphere?
Well, I put the 3-month-old baby in the stroller. I got American Home, put a plug in for American Home Shield warranty door hangers, and I put my business card in it, and I walked with the baby up and down the streets of my neighborhood.
Awesome.
I mean, we're talking about grassroots.
Absolutely.
And so I finally got the first call for a listing, and that kind of spurred on the rest of it. So it was really, just basic farming when I didn't even know I was doing farming, right? I got involved with my kids' school, so I got on the PTA, and I was a room mother, and expanded that way too, to develop an SOI. So I started from scratch.
You really have. And that's by getting involved, that is a great way for people to get to know you and to get to know what you do.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, you were giving back at that moment in time. So it's kind of like you're all in this together. And if we've, shared some life together with kids, there's a close bond there.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
And my niche, I teach agents that find a niche. If you used to sell new homes, then, that's your niche. Well, my niche was kind of those families that were growing that needed an extra bedroom. So they're in a 3-bedroom, they need a 4. And they just started calling me, hey, we need to sell our house. We need to buy a bigger house. We're having another baby or whatnot. And that ended up being my niche, kind of the folks moving up.
And that's fun too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of fun helping families grow.
That's right.
Speaking of family, obviously you're very close to your family. Tell us a little bit about your close family, about your extended family.
Well, I have a husband, Pete, and he is the CFO of the company. So
Awesome.
He runs a whole nother company, but has decided to take on real estate. So he's learning about commissions and CDAs and all of that. And together we have 5 children.
Awesome.
I have 3 boys and he has 2 girls. So we have 5. And we have 8 grandchildren.
8 grandchildren.
So, yeah.
That is awesome.
It's fun.
That is very awesome. Do you have any pets?
No pets.
No pets.
Just Kurt, the pit bull, not pit bull. What do you call it? The
mascot.
Yeah, the mascot for our Salina office.
Okay.
The Longhorn.
Okay.
The Longhorn. You see, I'm not good at animals, but yeah, the Longhorn. We have a fun picture in our office of Kurt The
The
Longhorn,
Longhorn.
sir.
Well, I like Longhorns. I'm a huge Longhorn fan myself, but my daughter went there and played soccer, so it's
Oh, there
kind of
you
a
go.
I kind of I liked them before, and then it kind of just you got ingrained on me. So now do I like the live Longhorns? I also like the college Longhorns too.
That's
So
right. Yeah, that's cool that she played soccer. I had my son played college soccer, and then now my granddaughter is playing club here in Dallas. So
for
we're
whom?
big soccer fans. Sting,
For Sting.
Sting Royale.
Yeah, well, I'd say my daughter played. She started off with Sting White and then moved to Texans,
Okay.
their ECNL club back
Yeah.
whenever she was
Yeah.
14. So
Yeah. My
we
son
did a lot
was
of
on
traveling
the
too.
Dallas Texans Red ECNL.
What years?
He graduated college in 2012.
Okay, so
He's
a
in his
friend of mine
30s. Yeah.
was on some of the earlier teams for the Texans, and
With Marcio and
the back.
Hassan, who
So
owns
yeah,
the.
Hassan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hassan was his coach back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good
Okay.
times.
That
So
is.
a lot of fun. So where do you play soccer?
At University of Dayton, Ohio.
I thought it'd be a little bit further north. You don't see a lot of men's soccer down south in the D1 schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, and obviously you knew the area being from Indiana and
Right.
in the
Yeah.
Chicago
Yeah.
area.
It was very, very comfortable, for him because he'd been up there a lot anyway.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I really like to find out from your experience, and you've worked with hundreds, maybe even thousands of families. Do you have, two or three experiences that really stood out in your mind where it was either super joyous or it was a challenge and you overcame it? Just some things that popped to your mind that were really, really memorable for you in your helping clients.
I can think of a couple times where I helped people relocate from other parts of the country, and I was on all the relocation teams at Coldwell Banker when I was an agent, and they would, and I remember coming myself, right? And when I was in the car with the three boys, we had like an acre in Indianapolis, and so we got here and we're showing us the first and second house, and I said, "Where's the backyard? Where's the backyard?" And the agent goes, "It's right there. There it is, right there." And I just started to cry. So I had
Mhm.
the three boys, and it was a, postage stamp yard as we
Mhm.
have here in Dallas. And so I had that experience with clients when they would come in. It was a very hard move, depending on where they were coming from,
But you could
to
even
move to
anticipate
Texas.
some of their expectations. You could anticipate because you lived
Right,
it.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was a challenge, and I had a couple of friends whose parents were aging, and we helped them, move out of their house, and so those are always memorable. It goes back to the nursing because,
Yeah.
just different stages of life and different paths that people have to go through, and we're there to help.
The ability to have deep empathy really helps a
Yes,
lot. It
yes, it
builds
does.
relationships. Did you get to do any of those video showings where you had them on FaceTime walking the house and stuff on the reloads?
Not really,
Really?
because, remember this was back in the 90s.
Okay. Okay.
So, we didn't really have any of that. Matter of fact, you bring up a good point. We had MLS books.
Hmm.
We didn't
Wow,
have
that's right.
MLS online. We didn't have key boxes. We would
You
go
had
and
to
pick up the
the keys
key
and to
at
have to
the
take it back.
broker's office
I read about that just
and then
recently.
bring it back. And we really didn't have cell phones, so we kept a roll of quarters, and we would go to the pay phone and make a call. I'm dating this, but that's what we did. So all the stuff with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok now is all new marketing for agents. It's really amazing because we did the old, mailing postcards and door knocking, like I mentioned I did.
Hmm.
Now, really, the agents can spend less money and get a wider, berth of exposure.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they have so much at their fingertips that we didn't have back then.
And I'm doing my best to embrace the digital swing. But you get these apps that let you shoot videos with a teleprompter on them, and heck, I'm not a dumb guy, but I get intimidated by some of that stuff, and
Yeah,
until you
yeah,
just dive into it and you find that it's not that hard, and it really does help, and
right.
you can provide value to folks at the tip of your hands with your
Oh,
phone on it now.
yeah. And you can boost it out to zip codes, of your choice all around the country. So it's much better than we had it back then,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
And from the mortgage standpoint, I have been in it a little while. I started in August of 1994,
Okay.
and back then we had the four colored, steno, that printed all the way through the application, and
Yes, that's
the
right.
client got the top one, and the lender got the yellow one,
Press
and
hard.
exactly, it was crazy. And we never, there was no such thing as, emailing, documents to your lender. Like they had to have the original
Yeah,
ink
yeah.
copies overnighted to them or taken to them. And so in many ways, this digital age that we're in is, it can be pervasive, it can be invasive. And yet, man, I don't know what we would do in business, to be able to do the amount of business that we do without it.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing, but it makes it fast paced because it keeps changing, right?
Hmm.
And we use KV Core at Weichert, and that is incredible technology using AI, and it's a lot to keep up with, and we have to keep learning and being able to use it. And when we use it, we just had some stats come out for Weichert for August, and we were number third in the country for using the technology tools that they have, which I'm so proud of because there's over 450 offices in the US. And so we were number three in using the tools. And
How does that
that's one of
integrate?
my things that's so important to me because if you do use the tools, we were also moved up to 27 ranking in the country
Wow,
in just my short
that's fast.
couple months I've been in it. But I think there's a direct correlation between us being third in using the tools and then being in the top for production.
That's awesome. How does that AI fold into your business? How do you use that tool?
CRM, for
Okay.
drip system, squeeze pages, landing pages, um, all the marketing is in there, social media, boosting and all of that is all contained in the one center.
That sounds like a class I need.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So do this if you will. What are some of the things that you're hearing right now that may be keeping some folks on the sideline that you and I both probably disagree with the reasoning, but they're not in your business, right? They're not in my business. So, what are positive reasons that what are some reasons you've heard folks that might not be doing something right now that you and I could potentially combat to help them feel better about making that sale right now or buying that new home right now?
So you mean on the buyer perspective, the client
Buyer or
perspective,
seller?
or the agents, what the
No,
agents are
from the
doing?
from the from the client
From the
perspective.
client perspective, well, right now, we just had a graph today in the office meeting where the interest rates dropped first time since March of 2022.
Hmm.
And so we're seeing a flood of some buyers coming out.
Yes.
Some of them are waiting for the next drop, right? But we had a builder in, and the builder, and we interface with a lot of home builders, especially in Collin County.
Yes.
And so we sell about 30% of of our business is theirs.
Very cool.
And they said that the builders will soon raise prices once those interest rates drop. So right now, there's a very small window for buyers to actually contract and not see that increase because
Yeah,
that's worse when the house increases. You can always refinance.
absolutely. And that's very true. To talk about the rates, so we in October of last year, we were closing clients in over 8%
Yeah.
on a 30-year fixed rate.
Yep.
In June of last year, I have a client that I closed at 7.5% interest. And today, I'm working with both of those clients in an overall loan review, and we're talking about them about rates underneath 6%.
Under
So
six. Okay.
it's saving one of them like
Yeah.
$434 a month. It's a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
But translate that to buying power. If you're buying a $520,000 house, putting 20% down, that means that between last October and now, the comparison of that payment is over $400 a month less
Sure.
expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's buying power. You can either buy more house or you can buy the same amount of house
And less
and
payment.
have it less cost.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Well, and the homes keep appreciating, right? Now
they are.
our appreciation has slowed down a little bit this year. But I think for Dallas, it's always going to be a steady, we saw the big boom in over COVID, but we're coming back to normal steady amounts, but you can count on maybe 3 to 5%
Hmm.
every year. So as that goes up, it's killing any interest rate that you were waiting for, right?
Absolutely,
And so I would say to the buyers that that's the best thing. Now for sellers, good idea right now with the rates dropping to list your home because the buyers are
they're coming
coming out
back. Yeah.
in a flood. We're seeing 20, 30 families on an open house on average,
Hmm.
depending on the area. And so I would say that now is the time to list your home.
Yeah. I out from the loan officer side, I worked an open house with a realtor partner of mine in Frisco this past Saturday.
Yeah.
It was
How many did you have?
we had well that we caught because I was helping work as well, but we got at least 13 of them, 13 families to sign in, and we know there was probably 3 or 4 that we kind of caught, but we were both tied up and not able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
have them, connect with them really. That was really one of the busiest open houses that I've seen in quite some time.
That is
So
awesome. Jim Weichert, who started the franchise back in 1969, invented the open house concept.
I did not
He
know
was
that.
the first one to do an open house, and then, of course, it caught on. But we're big on open houses at Weichert. We have a Weichert app, so they can come in to the open house, sign on the iPad, and then it goes directly into the KV Core, starts dripping them thank yous and open house information, and so that's a little niche that we love.
That sounds like it's got a little bit of geocoding in it for your AV, for your AI.
Y-
So if they're signing into an open house in, let's say it's Salina, that means that they're probably looking in Salina, so that
Right.
AI can kick in
Yep.
and help show them, what they're looking to see there in that area.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
It's
cool.
really good.
That's a tool I haven't heard about before. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Um, so if you will, talk to us about your actual brokerage. I'd like to, like I said, when you first got here, it's amazing the amount of teammates that are joining you. I think last week there was 6 that I counted just last week, and I think you were saying that we have at least 3 more coming like this week. Is that correct?
We have one joined today, so they're not quite in yet, but have flipped the switch, and then 3 probably in the next couple days or Monday.
So what would
Yeah.
you attribute that rapid growth to your young brokerage? I mean, do you have a couple of pillars? I mean, do you have?
Um, so I have always been a good recruiter. I was always number one recruiter at Ebby and at Coldwell Banker. Was number one recruiter in the U.S. for Coldwell Banker. So that's my thing. I love to do because I see agents struggling. They don't have the support. They don't have the structure. Maybe they don't have a national brand name, and so I love to help, right? And so when I meet with someone, I'll tell them all the great things. What I like about my brokerage is that I created it myself.
Yes.
I know all the other brokers in town, so I kind of took the best of everything to make it, fair splits and, low costs and still great support and great tools and marketing that they need. So I feel like it's just the perfect spot. And so when I present it to them, they think so too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got the experience behind you, and you grew your sphere of influence from ground zero. So you've got those skins on the wall. I mean,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you've been there, you've done that, and they can trust that.
Yes, and so it's not, even though this is a new brokerage, it's not. It's not new. Weichert's been around for almost 50 years, and then I've been around. Everyone in the industry knows me, either through, my work with the Texas Realtors or the local board, or just being a manager and opping with a lot of agents. So,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah,
So
a combination of
you
things.
have a grand opening coming.
Yes. So October 17th, Thursday from 4 to 7, we are going to have the mayor of Salina come and speak. I've got the Chamber of Commerce doing a ribbon cutting.
That's fun.
We have my favorite singer, Goga. Shout out to Goga, gogamusic.com. He sang at our wedding
Wow.
years ago, and he's coming to play and sing. He's a one-man band. He's amazing. So I'd love for you to come out and see that. We have food, uh, uh, cocktails. You get to tour the office, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Quite the shebang.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
thank you for coming. I'm grateful to get to meet you, get to know about you and about
Thank
your
you for
brokerage.
having me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to being at the grand opening, and I wish you great things moving forward.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Good times.